What's up, everybody? Emperor John Kill 3D Gaming here, and after seeing Alien Romulus not long ago, and in my downtime I've went over looking at Prometheus, Alien Covenant, the original Alien films, hell, even some AVP, I want to look back at what one of the best Alien games ever made. Let's take a look back at Alien Isolation, and what made this one of the definitive experiences of the Alien universe as a whole. Now, it's kind of dubious or where the fandom stands, is this game canon or not? But for the sake of argument, I'm going to say that this game is canon since it takes place between the first two films and it doesn't contradict those films in any sort of way. Now, Alien Isolation is a breath of fresh air even to this day, and this came back a decade ago. Think about that, a decade ago. It was made to make up for the dumpster fire that was Aliens the Colonial Marines. Colonial Marines was supposed to ride off the hype of the previous Aliens vs Predator game. But did it? Nope. Out of all things, a studio that does strategy games, of all people, gave us one of the best Alien experiences. This has great characters, great atmosphere, a great environment to go through. It falls along the lines of you mainly need to run and not fight the enemy, because quite literally in this game you cannot defeat the Xenomorph since you don't have the high power artillery of the Colonial Marines. You just have enough supplies, ammo, and other types of weapons to hold off the artificial intelligent robots called the Working Joes, and they're not the Weyland-Yutani synthetics. They're basically like a bootleg brand of the Weyland-Yutani synthetics. Jesus Christ, try to say Weyland-Yutani 5 times fast. Now, when you first start this game, it starts you off with a bit of a mystery, wondering what happened to Ellen Ripley. And thus, as fans, we know what happened to her, and we know the story that goes forward. The characters in this game, like her daughter, Amanda Ripley, don't know where her mother is. And once she learns that her mother, there's a sign that her mother could be out there, she takes this mission. You're going to be spending most of the game on an abandoned space station that in some areas is falling apart and had a xenomorph outbreak. Now there's multiple variations, not in this game, but in lore. There's multiple variant xenomorphs, and what I believe in this game you could be dealing with, due to the body structure and the height, could possibly be you're dealing with a drone or a warrior type xenomorph. And when you go through this game, it has so much love for the original series. You know, the movies as of recent have been hit or miss, and a lot of the games besides this one have also been hit or miss. There really is no true definitive Aliens title that really puts you in the shoes of characters dealing with this alien, this freaking xenomorph of all things. The first time I played this game way back when, I didn't know what to expect. I was coming off of Outlast, Amnesia, Slender, those games back then. When I played this game, I was like, okay, I think I had an idea. You do have a good idea of what you're going to be getting in for, especially how the game functions, but then, I got my shit rocked when the Xenomorph arrived. The one thing about this game that even most modern games to date can't even seem to get right is the AI. The AI for the Xenomorph is incredible. Not only do you have to adapt to it, it can adapt to you. Yes, you have a motion tracker, but it can hear the motion tracker. There's a lot of places to hide. There's a lot of places that the Xenomorph could still come and get you. Like if you think it's safe going in the air duct vents, nope. You have to try to get through that quick because he could follow you up in there. Your main goal through each level is to not only deal with the Xenomorph, but to also deal with the Working Joes, the malfunctioning bootleg Weyland-Yutani bots. They are the threat that you can actually kill. They are the threat you can actually destroy. But sometimes it's kind of difficult dealing with them and dealing with the Xenomorph because the Xenomorph can go straight for you on top of the working Joes. I think would have made it better is if the Xenomorph would get distracted by the working robots and then would attack them, which would give you a chance to escape. Now, thank God you don't really encounter the face huggers all that much, because that would have also been another threat to deal with if that was the case. And this game's story mode, it's nicely paced. It's, it gets things going in good increments, and the other thing that this game has, which is something that I was completely surprised about, was the amount of add-ons that this game had gotten after it was released. There's a 2-part DLC that is a recreation of the first movie with the original crew of Ellen Ripley, Dallas, Burke, all of them, Ash. You get to go through those moments of the first movie. And I kind of feel like it could have just been one DLC, but this is Sega after all. They kind of split DLC into two. The DLC is still great, and it was fairly priced at the time it was released. Then there's another kind of mode, which is kind of like a free mode, but with challenges or its own mission objectives to kind of give you an idea. It's almost like a freeform trial mode where you just go through and collect different items, find different objectives to do, while at the same time avoiding the enemy types of the game, such as the Xenomorph and the Joes. And this mode, I always come back to, because even if you get killed, you're incentivized to kind of come back and try harder. You want to beat your score. You want to beat the time length of how much you put in, because these missions are also timed. And the missions are not all the same. The missions are different. And the environments you go through are different sections of this ship, or expanded areas that you really didn't go through in the campaign. Now that is a nice touch. Now, you would think that you have people asking, well, why can't they just give us an Aliens multiplayer mode? Well, lucky for you, there is no multiplayer in this game because it's not needed. But, as a side note, there is Alien Fireteam, which I admit was an unexpected fun time. It's a Left 4 Dead clone of all things, Left 4 Dead, World War Z type game. It's basically just like that. It's fun to play with your friends, but this is the only game that really gives you that horror. The horror of the very first film. Because all the sequels after that of the original film became more action-packed. They became more about straight-up action horror rather than just the dark, gritty, unpredictable nature of being trapped in a ship in space, where quite literally, if you remember the old tagline, in space no one can hear you scream. That is what this game calls back to. It's almost like you are playing, actually no, it's not almost, it's basically you are playing the original film in a way. I mean, that's what the DLC is for, but what I mean is you're playing something that you could be seeing in a movie. You're playing a movie-worthy level Alien game, but in video game format. If you watch just the cutscenes alone, like if you take out the gameplay and go on YouTube and just watch like all the cutscenes, it flows pretty much like a good Aliens film. And then the cherry on top of that is this has hidden features that weren't released upon the game. I don't think they were released. They were added a little bit later, if I remember. Because I remember this. I could be wrong. And I admit that if I'm wrong. But there's two features in this game: noise detection and head detection. Where noise detection is if you're using a microphone or if you have a camera and you don't turn this setting off, any noise, whether it be in your room, house, yourself, any noise, the Xenomorph can hear it. It would turn right around and come right at you. I found that to be the most tension-filled moment that I could ever remember, because I used to play with the way I used to play my horror games. I still do, but the headphones can be loud even on the lowest settings. I would play horror games with my headphones plugged in to basically give me the immersion of everything around me. I did it for Resident Evil 2 Remake. I do it for any game that's very much in this vein of dark, You need to pay attention, like dark horror, and you need to pay attention to everything around you, catch every sound to make sure you don't get screwed up by whatever threat could be lurking in the dark. That's how I played horror games. And the very first time that I got jumped by the Xenomorph, man, I had to replace my PS4 controller at the time because that shit went flying into the damn wall. So, Alien Isolation, I wish could either get a new generation re-release or at least a downloadable upgrade for modern platforms. You know, without having to mod it, just give us a good upgrade to the game. And people have been asking for years, when are we going to get a sequel to this game? Because this game you can do a sequel to. That's the good thing about Alien Isolation, is if you don't want to follow up with Amanda Ripley's character, you could quite literally take this, you know, the model of this game, of course improve it, you know, improve upon what you built the first time, and create a whole new game with whole new characters, a whole new setting, you know, further expand the aliens mythology. Because I know a lot of people take issue with the origins of the aliens, the xenomorphs and all that in the films, and I get what you mean, but I've listened to like the original versions of Prometheus and Alien Covenant, and it's kind of sad that Fox, before they got bought by Disney, they didn't go with those ideas, because a lot of those ideas really flesh out the universe and makes everything connect. But for what they were, at least for what they tried to introduce, because that's the thing about the Aliens universe, it's not just, oh, you need the answers. Sometimes trying to figure it out, and what they say is what you don't see is always scarier, because your brain can interpret anything. And that's always has been one of the prime things about the Aliens franchise, is that your mind can create so many horrific things of what these xenomorphs can do to you. I mean, hell, as a little side note, if you guys have ever seen the director's cut or the, you know, director's version of Alien 1, the fact that xenomorphs can turn you into a fucking egg for the face hugger, that is some scary shit. Because you're feeling your body, and there's a deleted scene that shows it and how it's explained in the script and in the novel. Oh my god. Imagine your body just being deteriorated while you're alive. Even dead flesh can actually work for this too, but imagine being alive and your entire body's composition and structure being broken down to be transformed into an egg for the face hugger. It's already scary when one of these goes on your face and busts out of your chest at any moment. But that's the beauty of the Aliens franchise. It's beautifully horrific. Everything about this game fits as one of the top mediums for the Aliens franchise. And the good thing is, when you're done with the main campaign, like I said, you can go to this extras mode like Last Survivor. No, that's not Last Survivor. These extra modes at the end and play as different characters with different equipment to go through these challenges. It does really incentivize you to continue to keep playing. It has that effect of, like, every year, once a year, I always go back and I play Terminator Resistance, and I play its DLC, the Annihilation line. I'm hoping the RoboCop game gets DLC. Alien Isolation falls along those lines as a great adaptation, just like Terminator, just like RoboCop, just like the Lord of the Rings games. It falls along the lines of, this isn't just a generic licensed game set within a popular franchise to make a quick buck. There was love and care put into this by Creative Assembly, which is the strategy developer behind the Total War games. And I really hope that these guys could come back and make a sequel to this game, or make a whole new Alien game. You know, we have shoot 'em ups, we have horror. Hell, how about you give us a game that's similar in the same vein as Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order or Jedi Survivor, an action aliens game that is single player or co-op, that's not Colonial Marines, where you go around the levels at your own leisure, kind of like Resident Evil 1. Do something like that. Imagine an aliens game where it's you, 4 friends, trapped in a fucking station, and you each need to do objectives to try and get off the station while a xenomorph and facehuggers are coming after you. Do you choose to split up? Do you choose to stay together? Imagine an Aliens game like that, where you don't just face the horror alone. Every one of you can be on the fucking shit list end of the xenomorph. That would be a game worth paying for. I know we have our action games of Colonial Marines or Fire Team, but again, some of those games were hit and miss. The franchise is made for a very specific audience of horror fans and sci-fi fans alike, and future developers shouldn't be trying to please everybody. Please your core fan base first, just like this game did. This game pleased the core Alien fan base, and still to this day people play about it. It's brought up in conversations when people even talk about the movies, and that's a good thing. That just shows you the impact that this game had. It truly feels like this was a Ridley Scott movie, a Ridley Scott's Alien put within video game format. And hopefully next month during October, I'm going to start playing a bunch of horror games on stream, and this will most likely be one of them. Because I want to experience the horror and the challenge all over again. And it's been a long time since I myself have played this game. And going back to it, this game still feels as fresh today as it did when it first released. That lets you know that that is a great game. That if years later you can go back to it and it still feels fresh in your mind. The controls were great. The old school system of having to use a freaking electronic phone booth, virtual futuristic phone booth, to save your game instead of an autosave or a pause save. Man, that fills with a lot of tension. Anyway, that's all I gotta say about Alien Isolation, guys. Be sure to like, subscribe, follow. I'll be sure to check you all in the next video, or see you in the next live stream, and keep a lookout that I will be playing this game sometime in October. I don't know when, but I will be doing that. So, I'll be able to catch you all next time. Take care, and enjoy.